It's one of the tougher topics here for this quiz. It deals with compound interest formula. Notice this formula is a little more intense. A equals P, parentheses 1 plus R over N, parentheses raised to the NT. So it's good to kind of know what everything means here. So the P is what you start with. The 1's always there. It's always going to be plus because it's compounded. The R is your rate, essentially the percent it's going up by. The N is new. The N essentially means how many times it is compounding. So I'll put a couple of things up here. If it says semi-annually, then N will equal 2. If it says quarterly, N will equal 4. And if it says monthly, N will equal 12. There's a couple other numbers out there with the number of weeks and days in a year. We're just going to really focus on these three. And then the T is the amount of time that goes by. So let's work on setting up some of these equations and answering these the best we can. So right here it says find the balance in an account that has $400 invested at 5.5% for 3 years, compounded semi-annually. So a lot going on here. Notice our P, what we start with is 400. Okay, we start with 400. So we're going to write out 400, 1 plus our R. Again, our R is our rate of what we're going up by, the percent. So the R here is 5.5%. So we're going to put 5.5% divided by, and we need to put our N, okay? Our N, again, we're looking for things like semi-annually, quarterly, monthly. And we see that in here. We see semi-annually right here. So semi-annually means for N, we're going to put 2. And if you put the 2 there, notice the N is at the bottom of this fraction, and it's also at the top with the exponent. So 2 goes up there, and you multiply it by the amount of time that's gone by. So the amount of time that's gone by has been 3 years. So we're going to put a 3 in for that. That'll be the 3 years. So again, a lot going on with that formula. You got to really know exactly what goes where. So this actually breaks down a little bit. 400 parentheses 1 plus, we still have the 5.5% over 2. And then 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 3 is 6. And that's the formula broken down. Now, can we change 5.5%? Absolutely. We can change that to a decimal, which, people look at it, it's like, Coach, it's already a decimal. But it's not. We change 5.5%. What you do is you move the decimal over twice, 1, 2. So the decimal there is 0.055. So you can either put 0.055 there or 5.5%, however your calculator works. So we're going to plug this in. 400 parentheses 1 plus 5.5% over 2 in parentheses raised to the 6th power. It's exactly what it says right here. We'll just plug it in exactly the way it says. Press enter, and you get 470, and looks like 70. That 7 is going to round that 0 up to a 1. So $470.71. So $470.71. Now, if you hear that in the background, it's my kid. He's going crazy right now, learning how to walk. So, next we're going to look at again, that's how that problem works out, the semi-annually. That's how that works. Let's look at another problem here. Bring that down. It says Coach Bergdorf deposits $50 into a savings account, earning 8% interest, compounded quarterly. Which of the following equations would represent the amount of money and should be his account? Should be his account. His account. Because Coach Bergdorf is a he. And his account yearly. So again, yearly, it kind of tells you the time there. But we really don't know the time. So let's take a look at it. So P, what we start with, P is 50, so we put in 50. And then 1 plus our R, our rate. What is it growing by? Well, our rate here is that percent that we see as 8%, so we put 8% over our N. What is our N here? Do we see a semi-annually? Do we see a quarterly? Do we see a monthly? And hopefully you see here, it's always going to say compounded, and it's going to tell you exactly what's compounded. And it says quarterly. So quarterly, what does quarterly mean? What number? Well, quarterly means 4. So there's 4 quarters in a year. So put the 4 there and a 4 there times. Do we see a number for T? Do we see how long that's going to be? And we don't. So because we don't see that, what we're going to do is we're just going to leave T the way it is and just put T there. Some people would put X. We're going to leave it as T. So if we broke this down the best we could, we're going to see that we're going to get 50, 1 plus. If you want to turn 8% into a decimal, 8% turns into 0.08. So you can put 0.08 there if you want, or just 8%. And then 4. And then what is 4 times T? Well, 4 times a variable is just 4 in that variable. So 4t equals 4t. And we can't solve it yet because we don't know the amount of time that's gone by. So that right there, if we're just looking for an equation, that is our equation. That is our answer to this problem. Again, just knowing how to set it up. Knowing how to set it up. Notice your ends go at the bottom and the top. That's a key thing a lot of people miss. All right, and let's look at the last problem here. I know this video is a lot longer than I want it to be, but got to put my kid to bed here in a second. So, it says here, Derek has $5,000 in a savings account that should be earns, not years, earns 11% interest compounded monthly to the nearest cent. How much will he have in 5 years? All right, so again, what do we start with? What's our starting amount? What's our P? And that would be 5,000. So we start with 5,000. 1 plus our R. What is the rate it's going up by? What is our percent? And it's 11%, so it's going up by 11%. What's it compounded? It's compounded how much? What's the in here? Well, it's compounded monthly. It tells us right there, monthly. Well, monthly carries a number. How many months are in a year? That's why n equals 12 there. Monthly is 12. So we put 12 there and 12 there times how long, how much time has gone by? Well, 5 years has gone by times 5. So we can literally plug in the calculator exactly the way it is. I'm going to rewrite it really quickly to kind of simplify it. So 5,000, 1 plus 11% breaks down or changes to a decimal if you want to, 0.11, 0.11 over 12. And then 12 times 5 is 60. 12 times 5 is 60. So if we plug that into our calculator, let me slide this over here. 5,000, parentheses, 1 plus negative 0.11. And on the bottom we put 12 raised to the 60th power. And it's going to tell us the answer is 8,644, and we got the round to the nearest cent. So it's not 57. The 8's going to change that 7 to an 8. So the 57 actually turns into 58. So it's 8,644 and 58 cents. 58 cents. So again, that's how you'd answer that problem. You're going to be given this formula on the quiz on Friday. So again, use this video to help you out. Watch it while you're taking the quiz. Do whatever you can, again, to understand and know the process and what goes where. Knowing that the 5,000 is your P. The 1 will always be there. The plus will always be there. The R is the rate it's going up by, the interest rate. The N is one of these over here. Semi-annually means 2. Quarterly means 4. Monthly means 12. The N goes at the bottom of the fraction and the exponent. Remember to keep that in mind. It's got to go in both spots. And then T is the amount of time that's gone by. Hopefully this helps. And again, always feel free to reach out and ask questions.